Good morning. I am extremely privileged that I am here today to be able to talk to you. Most of my work has been in industry. After my PhD from IIT Kanpur in 2000, I worked for 21 years in industry, notably semiconductor industry and telecom industry. I had an opportunity to develop world's first 5G chipset and also opportunity to develop world's first 108 megapixel image camera that is used in mobile phone. After having worked in corporate, I felt very privileged when I was appointed as a full professor in IIT system. And then I felt very privileged when I got this opportunity to be the first vice chancellor of India's only university in the transportation sector. This is my passion. This is something that I want to talk about. I am highly honored to be here. In the next 15 minutes, I'll briefly like to talk about within 1 year itself. And by the way, we have not completed 1 year, how far we have progressed in this. So the talk title is Transforming the Transportation Sector, and this is what we wish to do. Ours is a central university under the Ministry of Railways, and we are located in Vadodara. And by the Parliament Act, we are supposed to have off-campus locations in different cities in the years to come. First of all, to begin with, we often talk about 21st century and so many jargon around that. I thought maybe in 30 seconds want to talk what 21st century really means for us. In one sentence, if I have to say every single thing that we are doing today or using today is a product of 21st century, we are only 23 years into the century. Whether we use any social networks, whether we use any taxi shared ride to go from one place to other, whether we watch Netflix, whether we do shopping on Amazon, every single thing, or do search using Google. Google is 1997, but just 3-4 years. So my main point is that 21st century, two things have happened. Firstly, the rate of technology development has significantly accelerated. And secondly, the rate of deployment, once a technology is developed, has accelerated even further. Hardly 3-4 years, when a technology is developed, it is in the hands of the consumers. And that is one big thing of the 21st century that I want to just mention. And we are living in a zone, we are living in times where things are changing very rapidly. India is emerging as a global leader, will be the leader of the 21st century. We expect to be a developed country by 2047. And much of the transformation that in previous slides I talked about are knowledge-based economy. The companies that progressed are the ones that thrived on creating knowledge and using knowledge to convert into economy. The countries where such companies and the knowledge existed continued to be superpowers, and India expects to be superpower based on knowledge. So we are moving into a knowledge-based economy, and we will talk briefly how even the sectors like transportation, traditionally talked more about physical infra, are actually knowledge-based economy. 21st century, one important point also I want to talk is this famous quotation by Toffler. Illiterates of the 21st century are not those who cannot read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. When technology is changing every 5 years, the graduates and the workforce we have in the system, if they are not able to constantly update, in tune with the technology, there is a risk that so-called demographic dividend that India is so proudly thinking about in the 21st century may be a far dream. Unless we prepare a skilled workforce that is able to think, that is able to adapt to the changing technology every 4-5 years. And that is where the skills, reskill and upskill, all the three become very, very important part. It is important even for generation like ours. We are maybe in our 50s or 60s, but unless we are able to learn, relearn again and again, or unlearn many of the things, we are not able to lead the change that we want to do. It is in this context, Indian Railways, you all know, I will not get into that, one of the largest, fourth largest railway network in the world. We carry the passengers every day equal to the size of Australia's population, and we are moving to the next targets like electrification, 100% electrification to be done in December of this year and so on. So I am not getting into that. We have distinguished speakers from dedicated freight corridor, Chris and others to talk about that. The one thing that I want to just mention, because the theme of this conference is on sustainability, there are significant initiatives that Indian Railways have taken of late, where Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya, which I will introduce in some slides to come, is taking significant initiatives. The initiatives like electrification, I already talked. The first hydrogen power train will be introduced in 2024. For example, the Swachh Rail campaign, the adoption of bio-toilets and skill development and so on. The green initiatives, very quickly mentioning, we already have installed 300 megawatt of capacity. Hydrogen power train I already mentioned, and on target to achieve net zero goals before 2030. Along with the transportation railways comes a challenge in the logistics sector. What is logistics? Let us explain very simply. Logistics is about movement of goods, people or services from one place to other. If there are challenges in logistics, it impacts us or a country very significantly in two ways. Number one, for example, if coal is mined in Jharkhand or areas, and if it were to be used in thermal power stations in Rawat, Bata, Kota or wherever, and the cost of transportation of that coal to the where it is actually needed is too high, then as a consumer we will end up paying higher units for the electricity charges. Therefore, domestic prices have an impact if the cost of logistics is high. Similarly, things that are made in India and are to be exported outside, if, for example, in Kerala or in Rajasthan or wherever handicrafts and the items are made and they were to be exported, if the cost of logistics is high to the cost of taking them to the port of choice, then there is a negative impact on country being export competitive. And therefore, the cost of logistics plays a very important role. There are big hurdles in cost of logistics. Currently, railway has a very large network. Railway also is known to be having the lowest cost of transporting per kilometer. However, if we look at the percentage share, 65% of the share in logistics is still on roadways, and railways is only 25%, and that is where dedicated freight corridors and many of the initiatives are taken to make sure that cost of logistics is improved. We connect these dedicated freight corridors to the economic corridors and so on. The whole exercise of this being done is with a single goal, is to ease logistics, make integrated logistics, and cut down the cost of logistics. Similarly, the bottlenecks that we have, for example, into our ports, when biggest of our export or international trade happens to the maritime route, and when the goods arrive at containers at a port, and from arrival at the port to where they are actually needed in the hinterlands, if there are no direct routes, no easy routes available, whether through roads or railways, actually it is the last mile delivery that becomes an issue. And therefore, integrated multimodal transportation is the need of the hour, and without which we will not be able to solve these bottlenecks. So before 2018, almost everything was done in an isolated manner. Things changed after 2018, and a lot more focus on the multimodal and intramodal connect has happened. Logistics sector, therefore, has been changed in last 2 or 3 years, particularly after 2022, when the National Logistics Policy came into picture, that focused on the integrated development, seamlessness, and leveraging much more technology, whether in GPS or artificial intelligence and so on. I'm skipping some of the slides for the benefit of time, but the slides are available, and I'll be very happy. I've already made sure that organizers can circulate the slides to all attendees. Okay, so 2 things happened to radicalize and transform the infrastructure. First is PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan, launched in October 2021. It is a plan involving 16 ministries and 42 departments that is focusing on seamless and integrated approach to infrastructure development. It is a plan of the size of 100 lakh crore, that is approximately $1.2 trillion. If our economy today is $4 trillion, approximately 30% is spent towards this national plan. Single biggest plan launched after the independence. Gati Shakti plan focuses on integrated infrastructure development. National Logistics Policy utilizes that superior infrastructure to deliver services using technology and creation of superior manpower. Both infrastructure and services, therefore, are covered under Gati Shakti National Plan and National Logistics Policy. So this basically focuses on whole of the government approach, that whole of the government work together in unison to deliver the required services and looking at whole of the sector approach. This symbolizes the whole of the government and whole of the sector approach. In order to do such a plan, which is almost 30% of our GDP, we require talented, specialized manpower to accelerate and sustain this growth. When Railways is spending 2,40,000 crore this year, or road and highways ministry's budget is 2,80,000 crore this year, for example, we need specialized talented manpower, and that is where Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya comes into picture. So I will skip some of these slides related to national logistics policy, just quickly move on to Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya and what we are trying to do. When we had to set up a 21st century university, we believe there cannot be any university in 21st century which can be away from industry. Therefore, it has to be industry-driven, innovation-led. These are the two things in which we are working and how we'll quickly so. Ashwini Vaishnav, the Minister of Railways, Electronics and Communication, is a Chancellor. When we made our first Executive Council, the highest decision-making body, we intentionally kept 50% people from the industry. If we want to say industry-driven, then we cannot have universities' decision-making bodies only to be of academics. So head of Airbus, head of Siemens, head of IBM, head of Aadhaar, these are all the members of our Executive Council, just to name a few. Because as I mentioned, the technology is changing very fast, we have to focus on delivering academic curriculum that are not only relevant for first job, but also academic rigor, which allows a student to learn, unlearn, and relearn as we go ahead. So focus is on academic rigor and relevance. Three things I want to highlight here: technology-related programs, management-related programs, and Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya has a mandate to train all of the Indian Railway officers from Indian Railway Management Service and so on. So if I were to have this meeting maybe 10 years, 15 years down the line, I expect that all such meetings will be full of graduates of Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya. And in 2047, when India becomes a developed country, I see everywhere in the infrastructure all the alumni of GSV being there. So very quickly, it's a central university. We are setting up additional campuses. The programs, now I want to specify, because if the mandate is unique, there are already 15 lakh engineering graduates produced by India every year. So there has to be some difference, and big difference. For a unique mandate, this is the only university in India that offers degrees currently in rail engineering. So all our degrees have 20% specialization in rail engineering. We also introduced a program for the 21st century. The last row, in the left-hand side, BTech in AI and data science, artificial intelligence, data science, with focus in transportation and logistics, topics like optimized route planning, topics like predictive asset maintenance. These are the topics that a new age university has already. So who are the people who are teaching us? We have regular faculty members, and I'm very happy to tell, one of the ex-chairman of the Railway Board is joining us. One of the secretary of the Railway Board, recently retired, is already teaching 2 courses. We have several people from RDSO and Indian Railway officers who are currently teaching many of the railway-related topics. Our MBA programs are also focus specific. One is in logistics supply chain management, other is on transport economics and management, and we are introducing new programs. I am skipping some slides, but just want to mention that some of the core elements of 21st century education, like design thinking, like multimodal transportation systems, or ethics in engineering practice, most of the engineering graduates, when they come out, they go to the field, they need knowledge on tendering process, they need knowledge on costing, estimation. So engineering, economics, estimation, costing, tendering, these are some of the important elements of our course curriculum. Again, for the interest of time, I am skipping some slides. When I talked about railway specialization, what it means. For example, if I take civil engineering, 80% of the course content is same that of IIT Bombay or IIT Delhi. 20% of the component, which is rail engineering, focuses on railway track technology, high-speed railway infrastructure systems, railway station and cargo terminal design, railway land management, and so on. Similarly, in electronics and communication engineering, graduates will of course study analog electronics, digital electronics, communication systems, signal processing, but they will also study, and only curriculum in India where they will study fundamentals of railway signaling systems, advanced railway signaling systems, Kavach, European train control systems, communication-based train controls, rail safety, and so on. Therefore, preparing graduates for the fast-growing railway sector is our university's first mandate. Training railway officers is another mandate. And now I will talk about what other things we are doing other than railways. I will also talk about few problems, right? So we have a mandatory internship programs after first year, second year, third year. All the leaders from industry, I request your support in helping our students for the internship. This year we arranged internship for all our 100% students. Quickly moving on, as Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya is for transportation sector, will focus on all aspects of transportation, including railways, aviation, ports, waterways, shipping, roads, highways, and so on. We signed a big agreement with Airbus. Why Airbus? Airbus and Boeing are two biggest airline companies in the world. Airbus is setting up India's first aircraft manufacturing facility in India for C295 family of aircraft. And through this agreement, Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya will now train people for the aviation sector. There can be too many things that can be done, but I know the MD mentioned one very clear thing. We have to have select and focus strategy. In aviation sector, just to give an example, we can always talk about making new aircraft and R&D and all those things, but India needs 27,000 aircraft maintenance engineers by 2030. And there is no university, there is no academy in India that is currently doing that. We have taken that mandate along with Airbus Training Academy in Toulouse, France, to be able to define such a program. Our programs are all employment linked, our programs are sector linked. Similarly, with Ministry of Commerce and Industry, has signed an agreement with the Honorable Ministers Piyush Goyal ji and Ashwini Vaishnav ji, where our university shall be the nodal agency to train all officers in state administrative services and central administrative services all across India in various administrative training institutes across India related to PM Gati Shakti plan as well as in the National Logistics Policy. According to me, there is no other university, IIT or IIM that has such a national mandate towards national development such as this new university that we have set up. Similarly, during Global Maritime India Summit on 17th of October, which Honorable PM inaugurated, we signed an agreement with Indian Maritime University of Ministry of Port and Shipping, and we will jointly offer programs related to shipping logistics, port logistics, terminal management, and technology-enabled aspects related to maritime. We have already signed few agreements with top universities like IIM Mumbai, Gandhinagar, Jodhpur, and a university in its first year have 5 granted patents granted in September of this year. It speaks highly about innovation. That is one of the themes of the conference. The 5 granted patents are related to alternative fuel, and that we have already worked, and these patents are already granted. We have already started the entrepreneurship cell along with industries like L&T, Siemens, Alstom, and Placer India, and moving ahead to define startup and entrepreneurship culture at the student level, at the faculty level. At Indian Mobile Congress, when we set up our stall within our first year, we had, of course, visitors from CDOT and all big industries. One important thing we realized is many companies which are working in railway sector, whether it is Nokia, whether it is CDOT, whether it is Sistra, and so on, we could develop synergies with many of them to co-develop technologies. One of the important things, everybody in the world talks about industry-academia collaboration. I worked in industry for 21 years. I collaborated with 10 institutes when I was in industry. When I was in academic, I collaborated with equal number of industries. One challenge I saw is always people talk of give and take model. Industry should give money, academia should set up that facility. I believe industry-academia collaboration can only happen when we move away from giver-taker or transactional approach to a co-development or co-creator mindset. And this is something that when we talk to industry, we are not asking any money. Fortunately, Railway Ministry has significant money. We do not have to worry about money. We are asking for experience. We are asking for co-development. So research areas in the Innovation Summit, some of research areas we are also currently trying to develop along with Monas. I know Monas also visited Heavy Haul Institute recently and with dedicated freight corridor. Some topics we have identified and where we are working is on, for example, using more of AI. How do we do wheel-rail interactions? How do we do automatic monitoring of tracks? How do we do conditional monitoring and multi-body simulations? Similarly, recently the railway factory in Yelahanka in Bangalore, along with them we are working with some other industry technological players, how to utilize 5G and IoT kind of a concept within our rail wheel factory or rail coach factory to improve efficiency, to improve the quality of the products we are making, and to improve productivity. And these are some of the aspects we have. Here today, through this forum, I want to invite all of you working in the rail transportation or transportation industry, whether it is railways, aviation, shipping, to join hands and what we can do together. Next steps, along with Delhi Metro Rail Academy, the Metro, we talked about Cochin Metro, Delhi Metro was the first one to set up. In India, there are 50,000 people working in Metro Rail. There is no university or academy that is currently teaching them. For those 50,000 people, along with Delhi Metro Rail Academy, we are going to launch programs related to Metro Rail technology and Metro Rail management in the next academic year from July 2024. Similarly, with Airbus, I already highlighted, Indian Maritime, I highlighted. We are also launching master's program, MTech program in railway technology, in rail engineering, in intelligent transportation system, along with Alstom, L&T, Siemens as the major partners, technology partners. Many of these industries are not only willing to set up laboratories, but also send their field expert to us to take some of the curriculum. We are launching PhD program, firstly for the working professionals. Working professionals means all the officers which are working in the industry or railways or any of the sector and want to do a PhD. We will offer first PhD program for them and then for the regular ones. This year alone, we have 77 companies that visited us, and I look at all of you, all the industries to come forward for recruitment or for placement. First year itself, our placement record was around 72%, and we hope that in this year we will have around 100% placement. Just coming to the last two slides, I believe that we might have a lot of knowledge here and there, and this is a famous quotation, I love it, I want to share. Action without knowledge is useless, and knowledge without action is futile. And therefore, it is important that the knowledge that exists in the industry and what exists in academia have to come forward, collaborate together, so that action and knowledge together can create a tangible outcome. And this is my last slide. India is rapidly transforming. If we really want to do something, if we really want to have something which we never had, then we also have to do things which we never did. And therefore, we have to collaborate and do much more together. And some of the topics I talked about. Thank you so much for your